with a $5 meal deal with new McValue. You pick a McDouble or a McChicken, then get a small fry, a small drink, and a 4-piece McNuggets. That's a lot of McDonald's for not a lot of money.
Prices and participation may vary. McDouble meal $6 in some markets for a limited time only.
Welcome to Tales of the Resistance, where we bring you stories of rebellion and defiance as little glimmers of hope in these trying times. I'm Amber Hunt. Let's dive in. Thousands of people gathered in hundreds of rallies across America last Saturday to protest the Trump administration. Can you hear the people sing?
We the people hear us roar in numbers too large to ignore.
The protests were organized by the group 5051, which stands for 50 Protests, 50 States, One Movement. There was no shortage of topics covered by protesters. Some were there to stand up for Harvard University, which locked horns with Trump after the administration made illegal demands that included dropping DEI measures and punishing student protesters. Others were there to celebrate the U.S. Supreme Court stepping in a week ago to temporarily block Trump's deportation of Venezuelans held in West Central Texas under the Alien Enemies Act. On the whole, though, it seemed that most were there to say as politely as possible that they're not thrilled with how things are going in this country. Just kidding, many weren't polite at all. One person held a sign depicting Elon Musk as the president with a dog on his lap, and the dog clearly had Trump hair, meaning, the dog was supposed to be Trump sitting on Elon's lap. Anyway, sometimes audio reporting is hard. Here's some more sound from various protests.
Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, these are men who made their fortune on breaking the backs of workers, exploiting us for all they could.
What we need is peace and freedom. Billionaires, we don't need them. Billionaires, we don't need them.
Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen recently did what no one in the Trump administration was apparently willing to do. He provided the American people with proof that Kamara Abrego Garcia is in fact alive. Garcia, if you'll remember, is the father and steel worker who was arrested without a warrant and shipped to an El Salvador mega prison despite a previous judge ordering that he never be shipped to El Salvador because of threats that gangs there would pose to him. The government acknowledged Garcia was sent there anyway because of a quote-unquote administrative error. They've since doubled down on insisting Garcia is a gang member. Van Hollen set out earlier this month for El Salvador and chronicled his trip via social media posts.
Today's purpose was just to see what his health condition is. And these soldiers were ordered to prevent us from going any farther from this spot. I understand we're about 3 kilometers now from CCOT. And as you can see, they're letting other cars go by. But they stopped us because they're under orders not to allow us to proceed.
But Van Hollen did eventually get to meet with Garcia, who'd been shipped to a different prison. The meeting came to be called Margarita-Gate because El Salvador President Nayib Bukele apparently thought it'd be funny for a photo op to put margarita glasses and coffee cups next to the two men while they spoke. I can't believe this is real life. Anyway, here's some of what Van Hollen said after the meeting.
When I told him that his wife and family sent their love and were fighting for Kilmar's return home every day, he said that he was worried about all of you. That was his response. How are you dealing with this horrible ordeal and nightmare for the family? He said that thinking of you, members of his family, is what gave him the strength to persevere, to keep going day to day, even under these awful circumstances.
A group of artists who call themselves Silent Do-Good have been projecting old-timey sounding words of hope and defiance on Boston landmarks as present-day protest against the Trump administration. The group took its name after a pseudonym used by Benjamin Franklin in his youth. Franklin would write rabble-rousing letters to the editor under the name Silence Do-Good, who was supposed to be a middle-aged widow. The letters ran in a newspaper run by Franklin's older brother called New England Courant. When Franklin eventually admitted he was, in fact, the writer of the Silence Do-Good letters, it caused a bit of a rift because the older Franklin brother would not have published letters from his teenage sibling if he had known who the real author was. Anyway, the group, Silence Do-Good, has been using projectors to relay short messages like these. Let the warning ride forth once more, tyranny is at our door. The revolution started here, and it never left. 1 if by land, 2 if by DC. This is WBUR editor Megan B. Kelly explaining the point.
The artists say the words reflect their present-day protest against the Trump administration's immigration crackdown.
April 18th marked 250 years since Paul Revere's ride, the one that set off the Revolutionary War. The group Silence Dogood timed its projections with that anniversary, projecting the vintage-style typefaces onto the steeple of the Old North Church. The church, built in 1723, is a historic landmark. On April 18, 1775, its sexton, Robert Newman, hung 2 lanterns in the steeple alerting Revere and other riders to British military movements before the battles of Lexington and Concord, which triggered the Revolution. A soap company based in Nashville, Tennessee is taking on the Trump administration in its own way using a language we here at Grab Bag Collab speak fluently. Snark.
Is your company's entire identity hating on the president?
No. Excellent taste is only one of our many qualities. Did you know that our soap is not only fascist-free?
It's perfectly pH balanced not to dry you out.
It's also sustainable and completely plastic-free. And while important, it's difficult to feel like any of that matters while an authoritarian asshat destroys your country.
My Cluck Hut says it's more than a soap company. It's a, quote, mission-driven movement started during the pandemic to spread love and acceptance, end quote. That's language from its website. Its owners market their soap as eco-friendly, pH-balanced, and free of harmful ingredients, but they spend as much time, if not more, talking about their company's philosophy. They say the aim is to prioritize people over profit, embrace diversity, and champion sustainability. If you're curious, no, this ain't an ad. We're paid nothing for it. We haven't even engaged with them on social media beyond following their account. But when a lot of companies right now are shying away from controversy and avoiding saying anything that could be remotely construed as political, we feel it's worth pointing out that other companies are doing the exact opposite.
I guess we're what the current administration would call enemies from within.
Because if protecting people and our planet,
embracing diversity, not threatening to kill dissenters makes us enemies, then we're the soap company your mother should have warned you about.
They seem like kindred spirits. Grab Bag Collab's motto is, no assholes allowed. My Cluck Huts is,
we're not for everyone, but if you use soap and don't suck at being a person,
we might be for you.
My order is placed. This has been Tales of the Resistance, a production of Grab Bag Collab. The show's reported and edited by Amanda Rossman and me. Amanda produces. Daisy Egan sometimes chimes in. Support Grab Bag Collab at patreon.com/GrabBagCollab.